This is the moment no one saw coming. A judge just delivered a brutal blow to ICE, and it could change everything. It's not just a minor setback. It's a direct challenge to a powerful federal agency accused of abusing its power. But here's the kicker. This isn't happening somewhere far off. It's happening right now in Portland, Oregon, where peaceful protesters and journalists have been targeted by extreme tactics. So why should you care? Because what this ruling means goes beyond one courtroom. It's a signal that something much bigger could be on the horizon. But the real question is, what happens next? Stick with me, and I'll reveal why this ruling could trigger a domino effect that no one is ready for. Here's the kicker. This ruling from a federal judge in Oregon might seem like a local issue, but it's much bigger than that. At the heart of it is a question of power and control. Who gets to decide what's acceptable in a democracy? The court just ruled that ICE can't target peaceful protesters and journalists with excessive force. No tear gas, no projectiles. But this is just one battle in an ongoing war. Why is this happening now? What's really going on beneath the surface? Is this the first crack in a much larger pattern of abuse or just a one-off decision? Stay with me, because this ruling could have long-lasting consequences. It might not just stop here. It could change the game across the country. But the real question is, how far will this go, and who's going to stop it? Let's break it down. Judge Simon didn't just make a ruling, he made a statement. His decision prohibits ICE from using excessive force on peaceful protesters and journalists. But here's where it gets even more interesting. The judge didn't just focus on the facts of the case. He called out something much deeper. He questioned the very foundation of what's happening right now in America. He said, in a well-functioning constitutional democracy, free speech and nonviolent protest are celebrated. But notice what's missing here. He's pointing out that we're no longer in a well-functioning system. This ruling is about far more than just one courthouse. It's a direct shot at a system that's become dangerously lawless. But what does that mean for the future? What happens when the law itself is under attack? This isn't just an isolated ruling. It's part of a pattern that's been building up for years. When ICE agents targeted peaceful protesters in Portland, they weren't acting in a vacuum. They were following a broader trend of escalating tactics that should never be normalized in a democracy. Think back to other moments in history where power was abused like this, governments targeting their own citizens with military-grade force just for exercising their rights. That's not just an attack on the individuals involved. It's an attack on the very core of what we stand for. But here's the problem. This is becoming increasingly common. And what's even worse, it's happening with little to no accountability. So what does that mean for the future of protests? For the future of democracy itself? It gets worse. Judge Simon's ruling didn't just ban tear gas and projectiles, it pointed to something much more alarming. He highlighted how ICE agents were firing non-lethal munitions at protesters, specifically at their heads, necks, and torsos. And here's where it flips. The judge made it crystal clear. Such force is only justified if the officer believes deadly force is needed. So, why was this happening in the first place? It's not just about physical harm, it's about the very principles of safety and constitutional rights. This wasn't an accident or an overreaction. It was a dangerous pattern, one where the rights of ordinary citizens were consistently disregarded. And yet, despite all of this, there's been little to no real consequence for ICE agents. The court may have drawn a line, but that line has been crossed time and time again. So what's stopping it from happening again? It doesn't stop there. Just as the judge made this ruling, the pressure on ICE and the federal government ramped up. First, you had other federal judges across the country taking similar actions, setting a pattern of resistance against excessive force. Then came the growing backlash from citizens, activists, and even the media, all uniting against ICE's tactics. But here's the catch. This ruling is temporary. It only lasts 14 days. That's right, just 14 days before it expires. And in that time, what happens if ICE just ignores it? What happens if they simply continue using force until the ruling expires and go right back to the same tactics? The clock is ticking, and with it, the pressure continues to build. But what's the plan once this temporary fix fades away? Now, let's bring this back to you. You've seen the headlines, heard the reports, but here's where it hits home. These tactics aren't just numbers or statistics. They're real people. Ordinary citizens, journalists, families who are caught in the crossfire. Imagine standing outside a government building, peacefully exercising your First Amendment rights, only to be met with tear gas, projectiles, or worse. That's exactly what's happening. And it's not just affecting the protesters. It's affecting communities at large, pushing people to question whether their rights are truly protected. If this resonates with you, if this feels familiar, don't stay silent. Let us know in the comments, because this isn't just a story about one city. It's a story that could be happening where you live. Let's step back for a moment. This isn't just about one judge's ruling, one protest, or one incident with ICE. It's about a deeper system, a system where power is often unchecked and ordinary people are left to fight for their basic rights. The truth is, this abuse doesn't happen in a vacuum. It's driven by incentives, fear, and the spectacle of power. The more these tactics are used, the more they become normalized, and the harder it is to push back. This is what the system relies on, keeping people scared and divided, keeping them from realizing that they're being manipulated. The real danger here is not just the actions of a few rogue agents, but the way these abuses are built into the system. And that's what we need to face. This isn't just about individual accountability. It's about a system that enables this kind of behavior, and that's what's truly unsettling. So where does this all lead? There are two possible paths from here. On one hand, we could see more judges standing up, more rulings like this one, creating a ripple effect that challenges the status quo. It could spark a wave of legal resistance, with states and cities pushing back against federal overreach. But there's another path. The Trump administration might find a way to bypass or counter these rulings, doubling down on their tactics once the temporary order expires. This could push the legal battle into a whole new phase with more tension, more protests, and even more public scrutiny. The key point here is that we're on the edge. This ruling could be the spark that sets off something bigger, or it could be quickly forgotten, leaving the cycle of abuse to continue. But one thing is clear, something is going to give, and it's already in motion. Here's the thing. This ruling isn't just about a courtroom in Portland or a temporary restraining order. It's a moment of reckoning, one that's forcing us to confront the uncomfortable truth about how power operates in this country. The real question isn't whether this ruling will stand, it's what comes next. Will we continue to see the system exposed for its flaws, or will it go back to business as usual? The story isn't over, and the decisions we make in the coming weeks could set the stage for something far larger. So, what's your take? Do you think this is the beginning of real change, or just another blip in the fight for justice? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to follow for more in-depth analysis. We're just getting started.